tonight's live stream. And great to see you here. All right, so I don't know how long I'm going to go tonight. As a matter of fact, I wasn't really planning on doing a broadcast tonight, but I've been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial off and on while I'm studying and in between my classes. And there's one YouTube channel. It's called Legal Bites, and I subscribe to their channel. And I'm going to show is some of the stuff that they streamed on their channel, and you'll hear some of their commentary on it. They are, I believe, some of them they're lawyers or they have legal knowledge, and they're showing the trial and they're talking about it and they're analyzing it. But what stuck out to me today was there was a text between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp back in 2013. Hi, Jay Cool. Welcome. Good evening. Oh, with love and respect from Northern California. I'll watch a lot of prepper channels, and it's nice to take a break from the war news. Well, welcome. Yeah, well, let's talk about the trivial Hollywood news about what's going on. So, yeah, no, like I was saying before, there was a text that was sent between Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was sending it to Amber Heard back in 2013. And he talks about finding a book at the bookstore called Disco Bloodbath. And then he makes reference to, then she says something like, oh, is that based on what happened like Friday night? And then he says, that's why he thinks it's funny. And then anyways, let me show you that part. I'm going to show you that part of the trial first. And then let's talk about Disco Bloodbath because, and I'm just connecting dots here. All right. I'm just saying this connects to this, connects to this, connects to this. It's kind of interesting. I'm not going to say that you make what you want out of this, but Disco Bloodbath was written by a man named James St. James, who was friends with, let me see, how do I pronounce his name? Who was friends with, hold on, I'm gonna find, let me bring this up exactly. I'm actually looking at Wikipedia, but it doesn't really matter. Michael Alig. Okay, so James St. James and Michael Alig. I'm going to show you some more graphics here in a bit, but okay, so James St. James and Michael Alig were part of the Club Kids back in the 80s. And there was a movie called Party Monster that was made out of that book. And it's based on a true story. All right. And then we're going to go from there. I don't want to get all into it until I'm going to catch you guys up later on because it even goes even farther into some stuff. Johnny Loves the Cocoa. I'm not sure if I get that reference. Johnny Loves the Cocoa. Okay. So let's go to YouTube. And I'm pulling up the video here. I'm going to make sure I wrote where the timestamp is. It's about 6:42. So I'm going to start it for you at about 6:30. Okay, so here. All right, so let's go. I'm going to share screen. Sweeney Todd. Oh, I forgot he was in that. Yeah, that's a good film though. And he was great as Captain Jack Sparrow. I think that's like his favorite part for people is Captain Jack Sparrow. I remember him all the way back to 21 Jump Street. Okay, so maybe expand this to here. No, that's not the one I want. No, I don't want that one. Okay, yeah. All right, so I think I did it right. Let me know if you don't hear the volume right, and I'll change it, but I think I got it right here. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah. You guys
I mean,
have more
he's trying
patience
to
than
make
me.
something out of nothing, and with some witnesses, you can do that. But Johnny's smarter than he is.
There's no the impression, regardless
We'll
of
do is just
truth,
call this
like on a written test,
159A,
is that he's
and
the
that'll be
smartest
admitted
person in
with
the room.
redactions, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
So, Mr. Depp, this is a text message you sent to Whitney Hurd on March 9th, 2013. And in this text message, you say, you blow that up as best you can, please. We had a slightly grim morning, but not a doozy. We kissed, she splits and texts me sweet stuff. I do the same right back and nada. So I just want to know that she is safe. I've heard nothing, just worried about her, XXX JD. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Okay. So that text
What date is
was
this?
sent
from?
on
All right.
March 9th, 2013. With that in mind, could you please pull up Defense Exhibit 161?
We're in March 2013, years before Australia, years before headbutts.
How did we get back to 2013?
Because he
I
took
don't
us
understand.
there. He took us there, Alita.
But why?
On the
Why?
magic dinosaur
Were they
time.
Coming up. Just be patient.
Yes, it's before their wedding.
Oh. It's like he's got a time turner and he's like,
you
now we're going to go
scroll-
here.
yeah,
It's
no,
now
here we
there.
go.
Your Harry Potter references continue to amuse.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's amused by them.
Nerd.
We're in Fantastic Beast mode, right?
That's true. Tying it all in.
Exactly.
I guess I
get
went a
one
little
needle.
early on the timestamp, but it's going to come up.
Do you see
Sometimes
four
anyway.
texts or five texts up from the bottom? There's a text exchange between you and Miss Hurd. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And this is sent on March 12th, 2013.
But this text
Okay,
is
yes, sir.
so.
Which, if I'm doing my
Milquetoast.
calculation right, was Tuesday, March 12th, 2013. And in the top text, you write, just thought you should know that there exists a book titled Disco Bloodbath. That's all. You see that? Did I read that right?
Yes, you did.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of this exhibit with those texts.
When you say those texts, which one? Just
Those four. The text exchange between Mr. Depp and Miss Hurd.
okay. Any objections to that?
We have no objection to the omission of the 4 text messages between Mr. Depp and Ms. Hurd on
So
that
if you
date.
make those redactions.
Yeah.
Disco Bloodbath sounds so amusing, and at this point, it sounds exactly like something that Johnny would say.
Or that I would text my husband, be like, "Look how funny!" Like, why does this exist?
We've heard so many strange metaphors
Yeah.
coming from Johnny so far that it's like,
It could even be
okay, this
code.
fits.
Yeah, yeah.
There's nothing crazy about it
161 in
now.
Evidence with the redactions. Published.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we'll just focus on the text. So we can see the top text is from you to Miss Hurd. And you say, just thought you should know that there exists a book titled Disco Bloodbath. That's all. And Amber wrote you back and said, we need that book, exclamation point. And you wrote back and said, is it about last Friday night? By any
Objection.
chance? Or, I'm sorry. I got it wrong.
I think you're really, yeah.
Amber writes you and says, we need that book. And then she writes you and says, is it about last Friday night by any chance? And you write, how can you make me smile about such a hideous moment? Yes, it is. Funny bitch. I fucking love you, you cunt.
Okay.
You wrote that
Now,
on
you're laughing.
Tuesday,
Did you hear
March
that?
12th, 2013, referring
They-
to
okay. And
the previous Friday.
first of
night,
all, you know,
March
it's,
8th.
in my opinion, okay, I like, and I think other people feel this way too. It's like this lawyer is pulling at straws. You know, it's like, oh, they had a conversation about this book. It's taken out of context again, right? and Disco Bloodbath, and then there's like a joke about like, was that what happened on Friday night? Blah 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 blah. Ha ha ha! I fucking love you, you fucking cunt. Basically, right? Which is like, it to me, it sounds like they were on good terms, and they were just using like dark humor about the book and the title or whatever. Now, that you can listen to the other people talk about it, like Disco Bloodbath. They're kind of like being glib or whatever. And maybe people just like we don't really recognize that title because it actually turned into a movie called Party Monster, and that movie starred Macaulay Culkin. All right. Now, which was one of his first adult roles, and it's based on a true story where Michael Alig actually murdered somebody. Like they were on drugs. They murdered the drug dealer, chopped his body up. He ended up getting arrested, and his friend, who was a part of all of this, which was James St. James, wrote the book. Okay. And then it became the movie starring Macaulay Culkin, and it was a role that until Macaulay Culkin really did that role, he was still Home Alone to us. So it was a really different way of seeing him. So I'm going to show you some graphics. It is a good flick. You're right. I've seen it several times. It is really good, and I just knew of it. I knew about James St. James, Seth Green. Okay. You know where this is all going in a way, because, the whole Seth Green's connection to Isaac Cappy, but whatever. I'm not connecting dots to saying that they're guilty of anything, but it's just kind of interesting, right? That this book reference comes up from back in 2013, which was this movie. It is a good movie, but you know what? Michael Alig, he got out of prison, and he had his own show called PU, I believe it's like that's how you say it, on YouTube. And guess who he interviewed in that famous interview where they're all drinking tea is Amazing Desmond. So it goes all, it has a weird little trail of connection. Now, probably doesn't really mean anything, but then, there it is. And so because today when I Googled Disco Bloodbath, I Googled it. There was like a little, I shouldn't be saying this, but in my Math 45 class, there was like a little bit of a moment, and in my mind, it was like a pause, and I'm like, Disco Bloodbath, and then I looked it up, I Googled it really quick, and I went, oh, Party Monster. Oh, Amazing Desmond. Like in my mind, that's where it went. Okay. So I want to, isn't Alec out? Alec. Who's Alec? Oh, are you talking about Alec Baldwin? Now, Eric Thomas says, what did he do? Actually, honestly, I think Johnny Depp is probably the more abused person in this situation. The way it looks, and I've been watching the different footage and stuff, but I and it seems like Johnny Depp is really like almost in control over the prosecuting attorney. Like even like when they showed this video of her recording him, where he's like smashing plates, and this not smashing plates, but cupboards and stuff like this, and then he realized she's filming, and then he looks at I can even show it probably, but he looks at the attorney and he says something like, what's the timestamp on that? Like, I'm trying to, what day was that happened? Since I was like illegally being filmed without my knowledge, I mean, he's pretty on it. No, Michael Alig. Yeah, Michael Alig. It's spell check. It's ALIG. Yes, Michael Alig. Yeah, that's who it is. Exactly. You got it. Amazing Desmond. Yeah. It goes to me. I'm gonna show you. Okay, so let me share the Disco Bloodbath from Wikipedia. A Fabulous but True Tale of Murder in Clubland, a 1999 memoir written by James St. James about his life as a Manhattan celebutante and a club kid. The book specifically chronicles his friend Michael Alig's rise to fame and Alig and his roommate's subsequent murder of fellow club kid and drug dealer Andre Angel Melendez. St. James was Alig's mentor, rival, and collaborator in the Manhattan party scene and was familiar with many of its key figures. The memoir was later retitled Party Monster after the 2003 motion picture of that name, starring Macaulay Culkin, Seth Green, Chloe Sevigny, and Marilyn Manson. Disco Bloodbath. And you know what? That's interesting because then there was also a Johnny Depp Marilyn Manson connection, right? All right, so Disco Bloodbath has since gone out of print and often goes for several $100s in auctions. It is only printed 3 times, in 1999, twice in paperback with different colored jackets, and once in hardcover. It was reprinted in 2003 under the title Party Monster, The Fabulous But True Tale of Murder in Clubland. Papers are widely available. Michael Alig was a founder of the Notorious Club Kids, a group of young clubbers led by Alig in the late 1980s and early 1990s. And in 1996, Alig and his roommate Robert D. Riggs was convicted of murdering Andre Angel Melendez in a confrontation over a delinquent debt. DJ Kioke, superstar DJ Kioke is a electric music DJ who was born in El Salvador but raised in Hawaii. He had no experience as a DJ when he was branded superstar DJ Kioke. It was infamous party kid, later murderer Michael Alig, who helped him in the early promotion of his then boyfriend DJ Kioke. James St. James, born James Clark, was a club kid of the Manhattan nightclub scene in the late 1980s, early 1990s. Alig's mentor and the author of the book. He was notorious for a lifestyle of excess that include heavy drug use, partying, and bizarre costumes. St. James continues to work with World of Wonder, the production company that produced the films Party Monster, the shockumentary, and Party Monster, both based on St. James' memoirs, Disco Bloodbath, A Fabulous But the Tale of Murder in Clubland. Andre Melendez, better known as Angel Melendez, was a club kid and purported drug dealer who lived and worked in New York City. Melendez and his family arrived in New York from Colombia when Melendez was 8 years old. Melendez became a drug dealer during the 1990s after meeting Peter Gatien, owner of the Limelight and several other prominent nightclubs in New York City, and became a regular dealer in Gatien's clubs. He was frequently seen in the Manhattan clubs wearing the trademark feathered wings. Okay, and then I'm going to also share some, I just want you to get an overview of images that might refresh your mind on some of it. Just to kind of give you a flavor. Hi, Deborah Kell. Hi. Oh my God, I remember the days of the Limelight in New York City. Okay, cool. The church. Yeah, all right. So I'm going to share just like a few screen shares on it. All right. And then also I'm going to look up Michael Alig because he's going to be interesting to look at. So here's some images. This is like I said, this is like from the movie. It's, you can buy this on Amazon. Okay, I didn't want to get stuck on Amazon. You can't see it probably. You're probably still here because it won't go to where I clicked at. I guess maybe I can enlarge it so you can see it better like this way. That's what we need to do. Disco Bloodbath. He came, he partied, he killed. Sorry. Okay, and this is the real. Okay, and this is the real guy on the right. All right. This is there he is there. That's Macaulay Culkin playing the part. Okay, so, and then I'm going to look up Michael Ealy because there's something else I want to show you because it's just, I saw some stuff earlier today that had more pictures. Okay, yeah, here. This is going to give you even more overview of stuff. Okay, hold on. Okay, see, look. This is like the real guy. And then like what they did, right? And this is like a picture from the movie. This is the real guy that they murdered, the drug dealer. Oh, look at the checkerboard floor. Okay. There they are in real life, I think. And you know, they even showed in the movie like Phil Donahue featured them. And ecstasy comes into play with this. You know, they were using like there's an ecstasy link to it because they were doing a lot of that back in those days. Okay, so this is the book that is mentioned during the Amber Heard. That's why I'm bringing it up. Hi, Thermal Mermaid. I just saw that you said those were the days when everyone thought that they were a vampire. Yeah. Maybe Interview with a Vampire came out. I think that was in the 90s, though. So this is like, I just found it interesting that the book that they were talking about and the one where they were making reference to, and it was a big deal, like that they, like Amber Heard goes, oh, you've got to get that book. You know, like, why was it, like, what were they joking about? Like, I think it was really just a joke. It wasn't like something that was traumatizing to Amber. Like, it was 2013, so I'm thinking maybe their relationship was, like, they even said, this is like before they even got married, that he goes, oh, I found the book. Maybe they were watching the movie. Maybe they had, you know, maybe they went to some experience that made her think about it. They went to some crazy nightclub, and she goes, yeah, was that like Friday night? And he's like, making those comments, like, that's why I fucking love you, you bitch, you fucking cunt. When he called her a cunt, I think he meant it affectionately, not like, you know, I love you, you fucking cunt, like that. Not like, who says that? Who puts love and then yells at somebody and then calls them a cunt? Like, usually if you're being affectionate, you're calling somebody a cunt affectionately. And you would do that in private text. Now I just feel like that, you know, the attorney's trying to reverse it. But what's even more interesting to me is the fact that it's about that movie and it's in that context. And then let's look and see how it links to Amazing Desmond, because this is the controversial video that everybody talks about. And, you know, but the guy, Michael Ealy, is with Amazing Desmond when he's a little boy, and they're doing a video after he got out of prison for slicing his drug dealer friend, ex-lover, into pieces, all right? And then that's the book that Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are talking about. I'm just pointing that out. I don't know if anybody, I feel like, you know, it's a conversation. It's worth looking at and going, oh, this is kind of interesting. So the next thing I want to do, it was legal back then. Yeah, it was. I remember when ecstasy really, you know, it was like Salvia divinorum or, you know, a whole bunch of other things. It's like, I think Salvia might even be still legal. You can get it at a head, not a head shop, but maybe, yeah, those stores. And maybe you can get it at a head shop, actually. Salvia divinorum, that's another thing that was out there that was legal but banned. But yeah, ecstasy was legal for a while, right? Like, it was, you know, like, Deborah. Amazing Desmond. Yeah. Okay. So let me show you the amazing. This is kind of a famous video, actually. I'm like, I'm not going to be the first to show it, but I'm just going to show it because I think we need just to bullet the point and observe it. Okay. Pew. Here we go. Okay. So let's. No, he died now. This Michael Oleg has died since this video. He died of a heroin overdose. I saw that. It was never my thing. Rolene didn't agree with me. You know what? I was never good on ecstasy myself. It did the opposite. The couple times that I tried ecstasy, it was like I got real clear, and I'm like, I don't want you touching me, man. There's something wrong with you. It was like almost like everything was oversensitive. Like I had to lock myself in a closet so I couldn't see anything or feel anything because it was too much. I didn't need it. I don't need ecstasy. I don't think. Okay, so let's seriously, I spent the whole night with talking to this one guy in the closet, my first time. It was just awful. Put me into the closet, man. All right, so let's give this a shot. Wait, let me make sure I did this right. I know probably a lot of you have already seen this, but this is where it goes to. So this is the guy after he gets out of prison.
Welcome to the Pew.
Welcome to the Pew.
This is the Desmond is Amazing episode.
Our special guest, the amazing Desmond,
Hello.
all the way from Brooklyn. Drove through rush hour traffic to get here.
Hot tea.
It's 9:40 p.m. and he doesn't have to go to school tomorrow.
He doesn't?
Yay.
Why no school?
Because I have to take an exam, one of those practice ones.
Oh.
A practice exam?
Yes.
An exam for what?
Practice exam.
For the state exam.
No, he just took one of those before starting.
Well, we should explain to the viewers who Desmond is. Desmond is the world's youngest club kid, and we challenge you, as the viewer out there, to find a younger club kid. Will they find one? No. And says the world's oldest club kid. But Ernie's actually older than I am.
Yes.
It's hard to
I'm
believe.
gonna stop it. Yeah, the guy on the left is Michael Oleg. That is the part that Macaulay Culkin played him. He's the one who chopped up the dude. His DJ boyfriend, drug dealer, he murdered him and chopped him up in the bathtub. Yeah, that's him with Amazing Desmond. All right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Desmond is the world's youngest club kid, and he has an enviable Instagram followers, and probably thousands, tens of thousands. And
what's your Instagram called?
Desmond is Amazing.
All right, look it up.
And
follow him.
He's very sought after celebrity. Vogue magazine. Just did a story about you.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
During where everyone will go. Well, not
everyone. No, we know what you mean.
Not the general public.
No.
Go up there, relax, and there were people who were looking for people to do a photo shoot for Vogue magazine, and they came up to me and said, "Would you like to be in Vogue magazine?" And I was like, "Yes."
That's what you wear.
And so the next day, because this was on the first day, I wrote the costume that I wore the first day for.
Now that costume's on your Instagram, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're gonna flash it on the screen.
I love the picture where you're holding the Vogue card.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful. He's got the rhinestone. I pick up.
I got that from a booth called Sparkles Rhinestone.
Oh, are they sponsoring you?
At DragCon?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they're sponsoring me.
They might be soon.
So it was a big shopping extravaganza there.
Yes.
Did you buy a lot of stuff?
You know what it feels like, and I'm going to pause it here for a second.
Did your mom?
Is that it's like they're at the Mad Hatter tea party. You know what I mean? They have little teacups, and you'll see where he almost makes a joke about it later about having more tea for him. All right, so let's and look, and a lot of people talk about this. Right in the painting, it says rohypnol. It's rohypnol, and it looks like a child's feet here, right? Okay, so let's just keep going.
My mom took me.
Oh, his mother's standing right up there. Wait, hi, Wendy.
Now, if we can circle back to the beginning. You're 10 years old, right?
Mhm.
And you're in elementary school. I think you're in the fifth. That means you're in the fifth grade?
Yes.
Okay. So when did you decide that you wanted to start wearing makeup and putting on these fabulous outfits?
When I was 2, I started dressing up. I would take my mom's towels and bed sheets and put them on my head and wrap them around my body, and then walk in her heels, which barely fit me.
I'm sure, but you're 2.
And I would clomp around the house, probably disturbing the other neighbors.
Did you
But-
get complaints?
and you didn't care, did you?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. And where did it lead from there?
To here. He's the world's youngest club kid.
So what about the makeup? How did that start?
6, 7.
Okay.
Can't remember much. I
Now
don't know why.
Now you're wearing it looks like you're wearing paper eyelashes,
Uh-huh.
right? Which was one of my old tricks.
So, and Billy Beyond.
Yeah, remember we used to yes, it was a big late 80s, early 90s phenomenon.
Yeah.
So
Paper eyelashes, ladies and gentlemen.
did you
80s trend.
did you make those yourself?
My mom cut them out, and then I used eyelash laser to put them on and tape.
They look really good. You're not a sweaty club kid though.
No. Yeah.
Because if you sweat, they would kind of fall apart. No.
A lot
Has
of
that happened yet? You haven't been in sweaty clubs yet.
not yet. You spray deodorant on your face.
Okay. Well, I guess you don't need to worry about that for another 12 years, 13 years.
No, he's 10.
He's
so
10, so it'll take 11 years before you can actually go to a nightclub.
I actually wanted to do a party for my outrage. His mom was going to come and do it with him. But John said no.
Yeah, have you been to a nightclub?
No.
No? Okay. Do you want to go to one? You don't know? Okay.
No. You know what? Not anymore.
So-
Once we stopped our nightclubs, they didn't anymore.
Now, how do the other kids, like, do you go to school ever dressed up or wearing
No.
makeup? No? Okay.
It's banned.
It's banned. Oh, okay. So is there a dress code there?
Yes.
What is
They
it?
make you wear a uniform, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a fabulous uniform with sequins?
Nuh-uh.
And you can't change it or anything. You
What
can't
is it?
alter it anyway, can you?
No, it's so boring.
What is the uniform?
A navy or light
So I'm gonna
blue.
push it like a little bit farther, maybe
Sure.
Okay.
just to kind of.
It's a boring book filled with ads for plumbers and
Oh,
lots of
plumbers.
things. Yeah.
What does that have to do with plumbers?
Well,
So getting back to your school uniform policy, before the break, I was saying that I agree and disagree with that because I went to a public school that did not require uniforms. And I can tell you that it was a fashion show going there. So everybody,
is that a good thing?
it was a good thing. It was really fun.
Okay, I'm just gonna skip it some more.
A little confusion here about, are you a drag queen or are you a club kid? So how do you describe yourself?
All right. So this is a pretty simple but hard question. So I identify myself as both because I have a drag house for drag kids called House of Amazing. It has its own Instagram, and there are about 37 some members, and I only created it this October. And I usually have most of my pictures of me looking like a club kid on my Instagram because that's where I take all the pictures. But the House of Amazing, and then I have like trading cards, magazines.
Now, those 37 members, are they all 37 young club kids like you? Or you
They're
don't know?
just regular drag kids.
Oh, well, how old are they?
Hmm.
Are they as young as you are, Desmond?
There's only 2 that's
Are
younger
they
than me.
encroaching upon your youth? We'll have to check that out.
So you're a drag kid then?
Yeah, it's a drag kid.
A drag kid or a club kid?
A mini club kid.
A
Okay.
mini club kid.
Well, you're entitled to keep changing
Yes,
your label.
and not only entitled, you are encouraged and almost
And in fact, it's an absolute must once you start going to nightclubs. Well, should we open gifts or should we say that for the next episode?
Well, let's open gifts. Let's open gifts. That's fun. Well, mine's not wrapped, but I bought you the makeup kit. And
Thank you.
Okay, so I think you guys get the idea of what that like what's happened. There's a couple times where I wanted to. There's a clip where he goes, "Oh, more tea," and they kind of joke about it, almost like as if the tea were drugged, but you don't know for sure. So there's like kind of a questionable scene that happens, but I just thought it was kind of like. I just found it interesting that the trial. There was that one text between that Johnny Depp sent to Amber Heard, and it was about the movie or the book Disco Bloodbath, and then Disco Bloodbath is really Party Monster, and then it's based on a true story where Michael Lillig murdered somebody, murdered his lover / dealer, ex-lover / dealer / and chopped his body up in the bathtub or whatever. It's something really gross. I can't remember the specifics, but I knew like his body was chopped up and put in a spot in the house that was making the house was stinking. And I mean, they were constantly on drugs, and it's like, it makes you wonder, like, why was that book significant between the two of them? Like, why? And Amber Heard goes, "Oh, you have to get it." Is it like what happened like Friday night? And, and then they bring it up in the trial, like the lawyer's trying to use that as evidence that Amber Heard is abused. It's kind of interesting. Where is his parents? Are you talking about Amazing Desmond? His mother is probably brought him there that day. His mom. His parents are totally supportive of what he does. Desmond, I mean, maybe you don't. I don't know if you guys know this, because I know Deborah is not in the United States. So here, Desmond's like a star here, in a way. I mean, he hasn't been in the news in a while, but all the talk shows were showcasing him. His parents were in the audience. I don't know. He might have, I'm trying to think, has he been on Oprah? But he's been on shows like Oprah and, morning shows and this and that. So, yeah. Munchausen syndrome. I know it. That's when the mom actually poisons the kid to keep taking care of it. There's this other footage with Desmond. If you wanted to get into Desmond, but you have to be careful about Desmond because it can inflame people. Like if you come off too negative, they'll go, "Oh, you're against." So, but there's a scene where Desmond's interviewing her own son, and they're facing each other in chairs, and she says something like, "What do you fear the most?" And he goes, "I fear that somebody's going to murder me." And she goes, "Well, that's pretty highly unlikely, blah, 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 blah." But he's real serious about it. It's just really kind of odd that a little child would feel that way. Okay, I'm just going to let that. I'm just showing that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, anyway, child abuse. A lot of people feel that way. Yeah. Well, now, I mean, if you look at that footage, they're saying, have you ever, have you ever been in a nightclub yet? And he says no, but now now there's footage of him, doing almost like a strip routine in a nightclub, and they're throwing money at her, at Desmond. So. Yeah, they've allowed him to go in at 11 years old, 12 years old, and walk around in a nightclub doing a night act, and it's yeah. So Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of like all I wanted to really show tonight. I wasn't really planning on doing too long of a live stream. I don't know, do you guys want to watch a little bit more of the Johnny? I mean, there's some stuff that's kind of entertaining on the Johnny Depp footage, but maybe you've I would say entertaining. Like this is like, because what is this like really, like 6 weeks of a trial? We're only on week 2. Wow. And it's getting national attention. Like I just feel kind of gypped in the sense it's like, okay, well, there's so much attention on this case when, God, could you imagine if we were able to have that kind of coverage for the Ghislaine Maxwell trial? Yeah. It's so interesting how it's all being selected to look, we get to look at certain things. Yeah, it's and then the whole, Michael O'Legan himself. Okay, yeah, one more thing. Let me look at Michael O'Legan. Let's go to his Wikipedia. I just want to, let's just read more about him. I'll end with this. Michael O'Legan, April 29th, 1966 to December 24th, 2020, was an American club promoter and convicted felon. He was one of the ringleaders of the Club Kids, a group of young New York City club goers who became a cultural phenomenon in the late 1980s and early 1990s. In March of 1996, O'Legan and his roommate, Robert D. Riggs, killed fellow Club Kid Andre Angel Melendez in a confrontation over a drug debt. In October of 1997, O'Legan pled guilty to first-degree manslaughter. Wow, only manslaughter? Both men were sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. Riggs was released on parole in 2010, and O'Legan was released on May 15, 2014. That's interesting information because Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were talking about the book in 2013. So it's a year before he was released. On Christmas Eve 2020, shortly before midnight, O'Legan died at the Washington Heights home from an accidental heroin overdose at the age of 54. Born and raised in South Bend, Indiana, Michael O'Legan was the second of 2 sons born to John and Elke O'Legan. His mother and blah, blah, blah. He went to Penn High School, Fashion Institute, Technology, blah, blah, blah. Okay. O'Legan's Club Kids. While working at Dance Teria, O'Legan studied the nightclub business and soon became a party promoter. His ability to stage memorable parties helped him rise in New York's party scene. During this time, O'Legan and other regular club goers began creating flamboyant personas and later became known as Club Kids. The Club Kids wore outrageous costumes that former Club Kid and celebutante James St. James later described as part drag, part clown, part infantilism. They were also known for their frequent use of ketamine, known as Special K, ecstasy, Rohypnol, heroin, and cocaine. O'Legan's Club Kids, including, among others, Astro Erie, Ernie Glam, Gitsy, Jenny Telia, Superstar DJ Kioki, Amanda Lepore, Charlie Dash Prestano, Joshua Davis, Richie Rich, Robert Fries Riggs, RuPaul is in there, and Walt Paper. The Club Kids' outrageousness became a source of interest for the media, and articles about them appeared in such magazine outlets such as Newsweek, People, and Time. They also appeared on Donahue, Geraldo, and the Joan Rivers Show. In 1988, O'Legan was hired by the owner of Limelight, Peter Gatian, and O'Legan's parties at the Limelight was such a hit that he began organizing parties for Gatian's other club, Club USA, the Palladium, and the Tunnel, Oleg's notorious outlaw parties, which were thrown in various unconventional places, including a Burger King, Dunkin' Donuts, abandoned houses, and a Subway, helped to revitalize the downtown New York City club scene, which Village Voice columnist Michael Musto declared had atrophied after artist Andy Warhol died in 1987. Oleg's parties also became notorious due to part in his own bad behavior. Oleg would throw $100 bills on crowded dance floors just to watch people scramble for them. In other instances, he would urinate on club goers or urinate in their drinks and would engage in stage falls wherein he knocked others to the ground. As Oleg's popularity in the club scene grew, so did his drug use. He was arrested several times for drug offenses and entered rehab, but continued to use his drugs. In 1995, his boss, Gatian, sent Oleg to rehab once again, and Oleg later claimed that he had completed a stint and was released. Gatian fired him. Some of Oleg's behavior could be explained by a personality disorder. He reported being diagnosed with histrionic personality disorder, which is characterized by high levels of attention-seeking behavior, stating, "The doctor said I was the most extreme case he'd ever seen. Everything has to be completely over the top and exaggerated. It worked for my job. I was a promoter." Andre Angel Melendez was a regular on the New York City club scene and worked at the Limelight, among other clubs, some not owned by Gatian or Webster Hall, where he sold drugs on the premises. After the Limelight was closed by federal agents and an investigation found that Gatian was allowing drugs to be sold there, Melendez was fired. Shortly thereafter, he moved into Oleg's Riverbank West apartment. On the night of March 17, 1996, Oleg and his roommate Robert D. Riggs killed Melendez after an argument in Oleg's apartment over many things, including a long-standing drug debt. Oleg claimed many times that he was so high on drugs that his memory of the events is unclear. After Melendez's death, Oleg and Riggs did not know what to do with the body. They initially left it in the bathtub, which they filled with ice. After a few days, the body began to decompose and became malodorous. After discussing what to do with Melendez's body and who should do it, Riggs went to Macy's to buy knives and a box in exchange for 10 bags of heroin. Oleg agreed to dismember Melendez's body. He cut his legs off and put them in each in a separate garbage bag, and then into separate duffel bags, and threw them into the Hudson River. The rest of the body was put in a large box rigs and found in the basement of their apartment. Afterwards, he and Riggs threw the box into the Hudson River. In the weeks following Melendez's disappearance, Oleg allegedly told anyone who would listen that he and Riggs had killed him. Most people did not believe Oleg and thought his confession was a ploy to get attention. However, Michael Musto recalls by the time Oleg sent out a party invite joking about the murder, a lot of people wanted to kill him, especially since the source was floating a more premeditated version of the killing. Investigation and arrest. On April 26, 1996, I mean, just think about it. He did a flyer where he was joking about it. How did he get manslaughter? Seriously. Investigation and arrest. On April 26, 1996, Musto reported rumors of Oleg's involvement in Melendez's death in a blind item. In his Village Voice column, although no names were used, Musto's reports included the details of murder. Musto had previously reported on Oleg's firing from Limelight. And then it goes on. To trial. Oleg dispute. Okay. According to Riggs, he hit Melendez a total of 3 times on the head with a hammer. Then Oleg grabbed a pillow and tried to smother him. while Melendez was unconscious. Riggs went to the other room. When he returned, he noticed a broken syringe on the floor. Riggs claimed that Oleg was pouring some cleaner or chemical into Melendez's mouth, then duct taped it with the help of Riggs. Oleg disputed these claims, however, and cited the Drano and the hypodermic needle as one of the key false dramatizations in Disco Bloodbath, the Party Monster. So here, Disco Bloodbath, that is the book that was mentioned that Johnny Depp saw in a bookstore and was going to get, that Amber Heard wanted him to get. That's what that text was shown in court. Oleg claimed he killed Melendez in self-defense and helped to dispose the body in panic. Prosecutors were hesitant to charge Oleg with first-degree murder as they still hoped he would testify against his former boss. Peter Gaetian, who had been arrested for allowing drugs to be sold in the nightclubs, they eventually offered both Oleg and Riggs a plea deal, a sentence of 10 to 20 years if they accept the lesser charge of manslaughter. While incarcerated in New York State prison system, Oleg was transferred from prison to prison. He also spent time in a psychiatric ward at Rikers Island. In 2000, at Southport Correctional Facility, he was placed in solitary confinement after he was caught using heroin. Post-prison, Oleg was paroled on May 5th, 2014. Per the conditions of his parole, Oleg returned to New York City. He was required to abide by an 8 p.m. curfew and undergo drug and anger management counseling. Oleg granted numerous interviews, which he expressed a desire to star in his own reality show and stage an exhibition of artwork. On May 2014, reports emerged that Oleg was attempting to sell his memoirs. And then it goes into like him doing the show, the YouTube channel too, we know that he did the YouTube channel. And then he died on December 24th, 2020. Accidental death of heroin overdose, and he also had fentanyl and acetafentanil, heroin, and methamphetamine. All right. I know I kind of took a little detour reading all of that. And America, the land of the plea. So injected with lie. Yeah, I mean, it's gross, right? And then Desmond's mother allowed Desmond to do an interview with them. Lets her kid sit next to, because he was a club kid and they're a club kid, and you know, forget about the past of the Party Monster movie, and then it links to the Johnny Depp trial. So I just wanted to point that out tonight. I wanted to just make those little connections. That's what the book is. I think that's interesting. And you know, when she goes, is Disco Bloodbath, is that like what happened on Friday night? And they're laughing about it and giving, loving. It's grotesque. Yeah, it is. It's grotesque. It is. However, it's a good movie. So if you ever see Party Monster, it's worth watching. I think maybe even like now, it's worth watching in relation to the fact that it was mentioned, on the trial. Is Vanessa here? Is Vanessa here? Oh, Vanessa Bates. Hi, Vanessa. Hi. Oh my God, I feel like I can't go now because it's like 8:40. Vanessa just got here. It's like I was getting ready to end the stream, but it's like Vanessa's here. It's like, oh, Vanessa's here. So should we watch a little bit of the trial since Vanessa's here? Let's watch a little bit of a trial. There's this part where they show a video. I don't know if it's forward or backward. Why not? I'll hang out a little bit longer. We'll watch a little bit of a trial. Vanessa, just to kind of catch you up to speed. So here's what happened during the trial. I showed that earlier, and I'm not going to go back in the other clip because anybody came here late. During the Johnny Depp trial, there was they played, or they showed a text. They play stuff too, so we look at that as well. But they showed a text that Johnny Depp sent to Amber Heard, trying to act like this was like, giving that this is how abusive he was. But you can tell it was just like a friendly text. But the fact that this book, Disco Bloodbath, was mentioned. So he says something like, I was at a bookstore and I found the book Disco Bloodbath. And Amber Heard texts back and goes, "Oh, you have to get it," and then he's, I guess he's maybe says something back again, and then she goes, "Oh, well, is that like, is it about like what happened last Friday?" And then he laughs at her, and then he goes, "I love you, you fucking bitch, you fucking cunt," or something like, "That's why I love you, your sense of humor, you're so amazing." So they're talking about an event that took place, and they're comparing it to Disco Bloodbath, which is a book written by James St. James, which he was friends with Michael Alig, and they were a big deal in the club scene in New York back in the 80s and the 90s. And then there's drugs. And so Michael Alig actually ended up killing his drug dealer that he owed money to, that he was previously a lover with. And then while his body was decomposing in the bathtub, he dismembered him and threw him in the Hudson River, and then did time in jail. And then he connects to Desmond, the little boy, the drag kid, right? And there's that, and I showed that footage where there's the infamous interview that they allowed the mother, that Michael Alig, the murderer, is doing with Desmond. And so I just thought it was interesting that the Johnny Depp trial, Amber Heard trial, mentions this book. Okay. And then they have this dialogue where the attorney's trying to pin Johnny Depp with it. And by the way, I think Johnny Depp's winning. Not Johnny Depp. I keep calling him Johnny Depp. Damn it. Johnny Depp. I have a friend named Johnny Depp, and I keep like replacing Depp with Damn. Anyway, Johnny Depp is pretty much owning it in a way. I mean, my opinion, and I think there's the opinion of a lot of people. Yesterday was a very bad day for Amber Heard because, you hear her admitting that she slapped him, or that she goes, "I didn't punch you. I slapped you. I blah, 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 blah." And then you see like she threw a vodka bottle on his finger, right? You guys know this, and his finger was severed, and like that just doesn't look good. And now they have this weak reference to try to pin him with something, but the weak reference is interesting. Like, is there more to that reference? And and now I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just connecting the dots. Like, that book is about this club scene. It is really heinous. How does this compare to the Friday night that she mentions? That's like, well, what happened on that Friday night? Like, where were they that you were at an experience that would emulate something in Disco Bloodbath? Really, that's the part that gets me. I'm like, really? Like, now that I know what the book is, and that it was the movie Party Monster that starred Macaulay Culkin, which I've watched more than once. It's a good movie. It's interesting, and it is based on a true story, and it's got Seth Green in it. I'm thinking, come on, I'm surprised. Mark my words. I think that this could be like, people, if they wanted to, they can run with this in the conspiracy world. Go, see, it is this way. Blah, blah. I'm connecting dots. I am just mentioning the connection. I'm not saying that connection is actually relevant or means anything, but I think it was interesting to show it. That's all. Oh, 4:30 a.m. My God! No, don't worry about that, Vanessa. I'm surprised you're even here. The fact that it's like 4:30. Well, good morning. Deb's eyes look very dark. His energy. Do you think so? Because like sometimes I look at him and they're just like kind of puppy dog looking. Like there's sometimes he seems like there's a vulnerability about him. And I don't know. He's charming. You have to admit, but then again, they say like, Satan's charming, like the devil is charming. How do you think they get to you? Okay, so let's just let me see if I can like where it goes here. Oh, it's not going to give me like in other things. I don't know if I can. If it goes to video, he's still looking at there. Okay, maybe it's farther back here. I don't know. I'm probably gonna go because I'm not sure where the spot is, and there's so much in that footage. I should have, if I wanted to show you more, I should have. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna put this in the link, so if you guys want to watch it, and I'll make sure that I include it in the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial day 7. And this is from Legal Bites. If you want to subscribe to them, I think they're kind of, I like their coverage of it. And then you get to watch the whole thing. So there you go on that. And let me put the, if you want to look at the full video of the amazing Desmond interview by Michael Olig, if you want to go and look at, I think there might even be like more than one. It might have been more than one part. Here's this too. You can. I'm going to throw that in there too. So rich people are so petulant. Yes. 6:47 a.m. Deborah. Well, good morning, my friends. It is 9:49 here, and I think now I am going to take a hot bath and have a glass of wine and burn a candle while I'm in there. You're starting your day, and I'm gonna like relax and play music and be in the tub and drink wine. Deborah, I know you can't have wine yet. It's in the morning, right? I'm just kidding. Have a glass of wine with me. By the way, speaking of wine, Johnny Depp apparently, like there's one point where there's this one video where, he starts to drink again. And, she's secretly, if you've seen that footage where she's secretly filming him and he's slamming shit and everything like that, and going around, and then he pours this big old freaking glass of wine, right? And then the attorney calls it what do you call it? The mega glass or the mega liter or something like that. And he goes, well, I wouldn't say it was mega, but it was a full glass of wine. I mean, he fills it like all the way up to the brim. And then somebody on this show says something like, is that the $1,200 bottle of wine? Because they talk about these expensive wines that they drink. So apparently Johnny Depp is like a wine drinker, and that is my drink of choice, So actually, I figure because I don't feel as guilty because Jesus turned water into wine. So I think, well, if Jesus drank wine, if Jesus turned water into wine, then it should be okay for me to have a glass once in a while. No, that's my rationale. Oh, Deborah, yeah, do your the slam of wine. So I've had days though, like where it's like midday or still morning, where I'm like the day's already started bad. I'm like, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour a glass of wine. So yeah, I love wine. I love different kinds of wines too. I love to go wine tasting, and I also like beer. And I like different kinds of beer, and I'm into how they're brewed, and all that kind of stuff too. So wine and beer, and tequila, those are my 3 drinks, that I used to have like, I'm going to sound like a big old alky, right? I used to drink Bacardi and Diet Cokes because it's only 66 calories. And then I realized that the aspartame, is not good. So now I'm like, might as well just like so now I'm just like, just give me the rum without anything on it. Just give me I try to have my booze as alcohol free as I possibly can. But now you get the big, the puff face, you get the bloat face. So, really, vanity is a way to like stop doing drugs. Drinking alcohol. It's like, I don't want to look bad tomorrow. All right. looks like I lost people. You guys are going. Well, it's so good to see everybody, and you know, I guess I will, especially like you guys that are not in the United States, and so Deborah and Vanessa and Thermal Mermaid and Angel, Pavlov's Angel A. Pavlov's corn dog. That's funny. Pavlov's corn dog. I just got that. Eric Thomas. Okay, Eric Thomas wrote a book. What happened here? There was a therapist here that had pure MDA for the trauma patients. It was awesome. MDA, not MDMA. A friend got caught by police with it. It was tested as black pepper, and the police gave it back. I mean, you know, they're using ketamine now, right, in therapy. So I think that is kind of interesting. You know, mushrooms are making a comeback. So great to see you too, Vanessa. Yeah, definitely. You guys have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day. And I will close out the show. It was just like a last minute kind of, oh, you know what? I might go ahead and talk about this a little bit. Just kind of bullet point it, put it out there. And let's see, what should we, I've been into the Matrix song, so that's always fun to leave on that one. Let me see. Here it is.